for streamingmedia.com and onlinevideo.net. And I am very happy to present a very diverse panel to you. We're going to talk about academic video in all kinds of iterations. We have Claudia Dold. I should have asked you, is that how it's pronounced? Okay, the assistant librarian for the University of South Florida at Tampa. We have Julius, again, I didn't ask you how to pronounce it. So, marketing director for Virtually Linked Limited here in England. We have Matt Thurling, founder and managing director for Science.tv. And a replacement for Olaf, who could not be here, is George Meek on the end. He is the senior director of sales and operations for Kaltura, the online video platform. So we're going to start out with demonstrations, short talks, and presentations by our panelists, and after that we'll get into a group discussion, and after that we'll take your questions, and I hope you'll have some questions. So first up, Claudia.
It's a treat to be here in London. We don't have London weather in Tampa. I am the librarian. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Yes, okay. I am a librarian at the University of South Florida, in Tampa. There we are. In the Louis Delaparte Florida Mental Health Institute Research Library. Students who frequent my library come from departments associated with a variety of helping professions. Those include aging studies, criminology, mental health law and policy, psychology, rehabilitation and mental health counseling, social work, and sociology. I create videos as an extension of my teaching role as university faculty. While the professor is responsible for program content, academic content in a course, I'm responsible for providing education and research skills so the students can do their coursework. And for that reason, video is an ideal medium for me. I can perfect my script, I can plan the visual content, and then use appropriate examples for my target audiences. Students can access these videos around the clock when they need a brief refresher or when I'm home sleeping. The novelty in this approach is in offering targeted videos to a particular class or a particular group of students. These videos are part of the curriculum in a variety of courses, just as much as a textbook or required readings. My videos basically fall into two units. There are basic videos and advanced videos. Basic videos are intended to make students comfortable with fundamental library skills. These videos are about 5 minutes long. I suggest that students get a glass of milk and a couple of cookies, watch the videos, and see how much they already know about researching at the college level. Advanced videos are more intense and last about 10 minutes. These were created in a series covering essential topics in research and writing for thesis students at the graduate level. This series was planned and produced in collaboration with two department chairs to improve the level of research for their graduate students. So here's a clip from a basic video. Not quite so fast. Here. Down here are these are some of the basic videos. There's an introduction to the library, which includes a map so people can find it. Interlibrary loan process, citation linker, which is a very useful tool. When you don't have a hyperlink, you can click on this citation linker and fill in your bibliographic information. And then the catalog will search for you for first an electronic copy within the university, second a paper copy, and if you don't find that, it will request it through interlibrary loan. So it's a very useful research tool. Organizing your research paper is actually the video I want to show you. Among the more advanced topics, tips for conducting a systematic review, citation searching in Web of Science, finding tests and measures, performing legal research. This is much more demanding work. So, okay, let's see if my video will start. Organizing your research paper. Refining your topic. This video addresses some preliminary tasks in writing a paper, how to think about the concepts,
and how to structure a search in the published literature. Each search is different, but I want to present general strategies that may help narrow and define the search topic so the student can write a paper, not a thesis and not a book. I start my thought process with the simple questions: who, what, when, where, why, how many, how much, and why does it matter? These questions help me focus on an aspect of my topic and parse the field to a searchable set of terms. Let's look at a big topic: the psychosocial aspects of genocide. Genocide continues to be a significant threat to the health of populations in the 21st century. It has been the leading cause of preventable violent death in the 20th and 21st centuries. Besides, let's just suppose it is an assigned topic and I have to write a paper on it. I decided to study the destruction and diaspora of Armenians by the Turks at the end of World War I. First, I need to define the terms genocide and psychosocial aspects. To find a good working definition of genocide, I look in a reliable dictionary. The Oxford English Dictionary, the OED, gives an historical view of the use of the word. The OED makes clear that the word genocide was created or first used in 1944, but the term seems applicable to all acts of deliberate and systematic destruction of an ethnic group or nation. I might look further to the global community and examine the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, approved by the United Nations General Assembly in December 1948, which made genocide a crime under international law. I repeat this same search in the OED for the term psychosocial, to be sure I understand the term and use it appropriately. Now I need to know more about the Armenians and the Turks. That is, the who question. Some quick research in a good encyclopedia, my favorite is the Encyclopedia Britannica, will reveal the what: forced migration at gunpoint, and death by starvation and disease of many Armenians who were expelled from Turkey. When? 1915 to 1923. Where? From Turkey to the deserts of Syria and into Russia. How many? Between 1 million and maybe 1.5 million or more across all ages. We really don't know. Why is going to require a lot more research and usually involves at least 2 different points of view. Now back to my assignment, the psychosocial aspects of genocide. Well, which psychosocial facet? Personal violence against? Degradation? Trauma? Denial? And on which segment of the population? Using my first search term, Armenian genocide, I search in PsycInfo, and I find some interesting articles on the legacy of social injuries that affect future generations in Armenian families. For more search terms, look under Complete Resources to see the subject headings used in an article that looks promising. With terms that focus on my particular interest, I can now run a new search using new terms. In this way, I narrow my search. I repeat the search in PubMed. Repeat the search in at least 3 databases, since the articles indexed in one database may be different from those in another database. I even find a dissertation from 2007, which is available online from ProQuest. Other sources of information include the library catalog, databases such as Sociological Abstracts or Project Muse, contemporary news archives like the New York Times. As a rule, I open a new bibliographic file for each paper and save the citation information, the database source, and the abstract. Learn how to use the Write and Cite feature in RefWorks. The program has very good tutorials. RefWorks complements Word, so as you write your paper, you mark your citations. When you have finished your conclusion, RefWorks will format your bibliography in the format you designate. If you're unsure of your search strategy or how to proceed in your research, you can always ask a librarian.
Thank you very much, Claudia. I loved it, especially like the music you chose to give it the right ethnic color. It was wonderful. Next up is Matt Thurling, who works outside the institution creating educational videos, and we're going to hear about his company, Science.tv.
set up. Oh, that's Jemima's birthday.
Well, now we all know.
She's lovely, Jemima. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay, so very pleased to be here. I'm Matt Thurling, Managing Director of Science.tv. And what we're doing at Science.tv is building a community of interest, specifically to enhance the teaching and learning of science, mostly at secondary school level. And we're doing that in two main ways. One is the building of social and search tools to enable teachers, it's very simple, to enable teachers and students to find what they're looking for with relevance to the curriculum that they may be studying wherever they are in the world. So it's about sort of curriculum mapping. The other side of it is enabling our audience, which again is mainly schools, to create their own videos so that they become an active part of this community of interest. So, looking at the search side of things and these specific tools, I think there's a specific need for tools for this niche audience, because when you're studying science, you're looking at information in a different way. You're looking at it from a perspective of just kind of needing to take on a concept. And the best way, I thought, to demonstrate this would be, say you're studying anatomy at secondary level, and you need to know how the muscles work. And if you type muscles into a generic search engine like Google or YouTube, you're probably going to get someone trying to sell you steroids. But what you actually want is something that explains it to you, explains what you need to know. Now, books, when it's something like that, aren't very useful. The diagrams in books, a lot of kids can't really engage with that. So it'd be really cool if you could find something like this, and I hope this is going to work.
This is James, and this is what he would look like if you peeled his skin off and started to look at the things underneath. This muscle here is called triceps. It actually has 3 heads somewhere up here, which is why it's called triceps. And this extends the elbow or straightens it. Around the other side, if I just bring you round, this is biceps, which is a muscle you've probably heard of. It has 2 heads up here in the armpit, which is why it's called biceps. And biceps has a tendon coming down here below the elbow, that if that tendon, if that muscle contracts, it will flex the elbow. Would you like to show us that? And you can actually see the muscle doing that. So if you extend and contract and extend and contract, you can see biceps actually moving underneath the skin there.
So we've made some of this content. We're trying to make stuff that maps directly to curriculums, but the problem is obviously that it's expensive. Now, it's not expensive because of the cameras. The cost of cameras is falling. It's not expensive because of the cost of editing. It's the cost of sustaining like that quality of idea. You know, it takes a while to come up with that way of explaining it and getting it nice and concise. So the answer to that is obviously user-generated content. And so the other side of this is what we've been doing is working with schools. Now, schools are, or could be, little production houses in themselves. They're getting ever-increasing quality and amount of kit. They've got kids. You know, in every school, there's an After Effects genius, there's an editing genius, and there's people that have got really good ideas within schools. So with just a little bit of craft about how to put together video content, you can get each school producing content and producing this stuff and filling up the curriculum, and then via the search portal, they can be sharing it with other teachers of their own content, third-party content, and teachers can see how useful it is to each other and constantly add to the value of it. And I think this is particularly important in science education, particularly because more than any other subject, science suffers from this need of education to constantly assess students and put them through exams and put ticks in boxes. And science is not about that. Science is about curiosity and experimentation. And for 99% of people, that gets killed very early by this need to assess. So I'm just going to show you another quick example, which is really trying to put that role of the experimenter, put the curiosity back into science.
Hi, we're a Year 10 class at Clifton College, Bristol.
We wanted to test whether playing video games improves our hand-eye coordination.
So we split the year into two groups, people who play a lot and people who don't play much at all.
We then got everyone to draw around a star while looking in a mirror. It's harder than it looks.
And we collected the results, the time taken and the number of mistakes.
We combined each person's scores into a single measure of performance. We found that, on average, the games players were 5 seconds faster and made fewer mistakes. We can conclude that computer games players have better hand-eye coordination than non-games players.
I was going to talk for this audience about the potential of live streaming as well from schools, but I think, because I don't actually know what I'm talking about on that front, I'll move on and let someone else take the stage. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Matt. You don't have to know what you're talking about. It's fine. We're all friends here. We're bringing you a lot of variety today. Next up is Julius, who works in virtual worlds and is going to tell us how online virtual worlds can be used for education. Julius?
Escape.
Escape. Good afternoon, I'm Julius Soul. I work for Virtually Link London. I actually feel a bit of a fraud because our field is not only emerging, but it's, for those who've actually explored it, it's got this reputation of being seedy, etc. But I'm here to dispel that. We run simulations, i.e. Representations of real or made-up worlds. Now, I've noticed that in most of the presentations, everybody has brought visuals. Now, visuals are very important, but there is an addition to visuals, which is that augmentation of visuals. In other words, where you can walk into the screen, walk around, have a look, and even create. We've partnered with London Metropolitan, who do this kind of work, and because we don't have the capability, we've handed this kind of work to the students, so the students themselves can actually create these environments to explain. I take, for instance, Claudia's example of the Turks. If you wanted to explore the Turkish Empire in the ancient times, could you imagine being able to walk into a village or a city in Turkey in ancient times? Okay, obviously it's avatars, but this technology is getting good enough now where it's almost real time. I'm quite nervous, sorry, it's the first time I've publicly spoke, usually on virtual worlds. Right, I'll pick up on something Olaf said about the engagement and observation. He said it was observe and experiment, I think is what you said. No, it was, what did you say? You said curiosity and experimentation. And I would say more important than that is the observation. Now, if you're looking for data, and as a student, and you go to the normal places, you Google it, you have a look. Okay, occasionally they give you media clips or whatever. But imagine if you could have a situation where, like I said with the Turkish situation, you could go into that environment. You see the arm we saw there. If you could actually walk around that arm, move one muscle away, and see what the difference would be if you were learning biology, for instance, it would help you in your teaching, depending on what level you are. I'll show you a short video just to show you what virtual worlds looks like, if I can get out of here.
Just close that down if you want.
Okay. Now this is a video. The reason I shot this video was it was concerning a film company in I think it was the Bayview area. They worked in unity with Mozilla, who gave them the open source facilities to be able to create films of their political or educational aspirations at the time. And it's a bit out of context with virtual worlds, but I just wanted to show you this video so that you could see what virtual worlds was capable of showing you data from somewhere else.
Oh, hi. I came in Tony yesterday for the keynote speech, and I asked him about how much time I had, and explained to him that to express my views on future learning with dark screens and indeed how I saw it integrated in an augmented manner in virtual roles, etc. I told him that I'd be doing this presentation. As you can see, this is outside Prince of Wales in Kensington. I think some of you might have come up there.
Actually, this is a wrong video. But it shows the capability that you can create an environment that you can go into and stream in data from outside for the individual to have a look at.
Do care about real issues like the financial crisis and its impact on the nonprofit sector. Let's take the Bay Area Video Coalition in San Francisco, for instance. BAVEC trains thousands of students in digital storytelling. They run this fantastic Producers Institute every year. They're trying to narrow the digital divide. The director of creative programming, Wendy Levy, she's like, anyways, BAVEC needs your help. They're asking 400 people to donate $25 each. $25. You know, before I left the physical world behind, I ran the pledge drive at the local NPR station, so here it is. BAVEC depends on you. Yes, you. Won't you help us out with $25 to keep BAVEC going? BAVEC alumni will go out there, they will do socially conscious documentary, they will counter-program mass media. Without you, this virtual mind project that Ben is working on might not even be happening. If you don't come up with the money...
Dude, Dragster.
Yes, Ben. What is it?
You don't have to go all Ira Glass on them, man. They'll do the right thing if you don't guilt them into it.
Okay, but will they do this by October 15th?
Is that the deadline?
Yeah.
Well, they better do it today then. I mean, sooner the better, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They gotta do it now.
Yeah, so they need sponsorship. And I hope that also gives you some insight into how we do use Centralize for the future of education and streaming.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Julius. Very interesting. And our final panelist is George Meek, our replacement. He's with Kaltura, the open source online video platform that I know a lot of educational institutions have turned to, and he's going to tell us why.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Hold on 1 second. I'm afraid I haven't got any video, I've just got some boring slides. Obviously, as a video company, we should have video, but today I'm just going to take you through some slides. My name is George Meek. I head up the sales and operations for Kaltura in Europe. We are actually the world's first and only open source video platform. Hold on a second. I want to tell you a little bit about our company. We do a lot in the education sector, really to make video in education easier to use. So just go through a little bit about Kaltura. We're headquartered in New York. We have offices in San Francisco, London, and our research and engineering team are based out of Tel Aviv. We work not just in the education space, we work with a lot of large media entertainment companies, large enterprise organizations, and service providers as well. As a software business, we offer two sort of flavors of our software. One flavor, which a lot of people know, is software as a service, so people can utilize our software in the cloud. And our software is also available, what we call it on-premises, so it can be hosted on our client servers. There's two options on a commercial level for our software as well. And it's why it's very interesting in the education sector, because obviously the education, a lot of the large universities have very large computing departments and systems departments, and our software is available to download and use for free. And we also have the commercial licensed version of Kaltura as well. Just to give you an idea, just a few of our sample customers we see in the publishers and advertisers. Obviously this is educational focus today. We work with some of the largest universities and education companies in the world. I think so more relevant to the UK is Durham University we're working with right now, Copenhagen Business School. What I'll do in a minute, we'll go through in some more detail exactly what we do for these universities. We can look at video, and I mean, a lot of people hate this slide because there's a lot of words there, but I think it's very poignant in respect to video online or digital video is a very complex solution to deliver. And a lot of people think it's very easy. You look at YouTube, you click on, you upload a video, and off you go. But you've got to look in the background of what's actually going on there. And a few of these key sort of words come out. So you're looking at the ingestion of that video, the management of that video, the metadata that's associated with the video, how you're going to manage the users around the video, how it's going to be found, how you're going to publish it, how you're going to deliver it, moderate it, just purely manage it, the different applications you want to deliver that video on. So if you take all of these words, ultimately these are what the challenges Kaltura have addressed in order to help large educational institutions and smaller schools, etc., and enterprises to manage their educational workflow with video. We look at our 360 strategy in education. We have our platform in the middle, where we obviously address all those different issues. And this is where we work, is we provide video in the learning management system. So you look at the different LMSs that are used by education. You look at the likes of Blackboard, Sakai, Moodle. Kaltura is integrated with these to enable the students and lecturers to manage and utilize their video without actually having to go to a third-party management platform. We manage live events. We have a campus YouTube. A lot of universities are not very keen on their videos going onto YouTube because of the rights, because of them being shared. And we have a product called MediaSpace, which basically enables you to create your own YouTube, which we'll go through in a little bit more detail. Centralize the media services. Again, large universities traditionally work on the basis of you have many different departments who have video requirements, and these departments will buy a media server here, a media server there, and ultimately it's very decentralized. What Kaltura enables is to enable a centralized video management platform and reduce the cost of the management of those different media servers across the campus. Then you look at being able to manage associations, administrations, club and activities, the libraries and archives, and obviously what is very important for the universities as well as the campus websites, where they're really the front end of their business. So key educational user cases, so video for teaching and learning, video for distance education. I think we're going to see that becoming more and more prevalent. You look at education today, 30 kids in a school, in a classroom, is still dating back from Victorian eras. I think video and the capabilities of video can really start to change the way that education is delivered today. The video for the libraries and campus media teams, and then video for obviously the marketing and admissions. Just a couple of quick examples. We've got MIT Tech in the US. So they're using our video to power their video sharing tech TV site. So it's for PR. It enables them to create playlists, post comments on the video, private uploads that are restricted to themselves only, and then it's also connected into their Blackboard LMS. So the tools that Kaltura provided them here with is our MediaSpace module, which we call as a YouTube out of the box. As you can see, sort of the look and feel there. Kaltura as a software platform, we have over 250 APIs associated with our platform. So you can basically look at ourselves and you can take any element of the solutions we provide for video and use them on a custom basis. The live streaming, they've hosted the software themselves, HTML5 compatibility for multiple devices, 508 compliance, white label, so it goes with their branding. So it sort of goes on and on and on. Again, Columbia Business School, again, this is another example of being integrated with further CMSs, so integration with Drupal there. Again, the API integration, mobile delivery, so using them for recruitment, branding, presentation of campus events. So you sort of get the look and feel there as well. You go back into quickly looking at the LMS, extension into Moodle, Blackboard, Sakai. We're also into SharePoint as well. So again, this is ensuring that video is made easy for anyone who can use it. It's really to recreate that YouTube-style video experience of click here, upload, manage, but putting it in a private environment. So you do have the control, you have that power of control of what happens, the moderation, etc., with the content. The media safe service, again, as we look at it as a YouTube out of the box. You can either do it, so you can either enable people to upload content, or it can be a closed portal itself. We have moderation tools to ensure that the content is coming in through correctly. And it really gives you the ability to manage all the different categories, all the different topics, all the metadata around there. We do scheduling, etc., etc. So it's a huge amount of different applications that are enabled to the education institutes. Again, mobile support and HTML5, very, very key. So I think everyone now today is looking and using video on their apps, or on their different smartphones, etc. Applications for education. So it's key to be able to not only just have that video delivered to your website, but your connected device, to your iPad, etc. So with Kaltura, what we do is we can take a single video and then enable that to be distributed across all of those different devices at a click of a button. So again, making video usage very, very easy. That's it, really. So that's Kaltura. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Just close this up. Sure, save it. Oh boy.
You don't need to
All right.
save it.
Oh, we'll just leave it up here. We'll just leave it up here then. Let me just ask you some questions now. Claudia, what has happened to the role of librarian? I had no idea that librarians were doing this much. What, you're not just organizing books anymore?
No, we're not just putting books on the shelf. Librarians have a major job now, making sure that students are succeeding. And if they can't find the information they need, then they can't succeed. So librarians now have not exactly an equal role with professors, but we have a parallel role in the classroom. So I'll plan a syllabus with a professor to make sure that we have all the materials that he needs for the assignments he makes. I will work with him on creating those assignments to make sure that the students are meeting some of the information literacy goals that students should be learning and reinforce them. And then I'm always around to help them with their citations. We have a learning center and a writing center to help them with their writing aspect. But when it comes to finding their information or understanding how to write a scholarly article, how to find a scholarly article, how to read a scholarly article, those are things that I do.
Mm-hmm. And you were telling me that you teach also, and that you started creating videos out of necessity?
Yes, I did. We had a cutback in personnel. There used to be 3 of us to manage this group of 2,000 students and faculty, about 250. So we had a cutback, and it was just impossible for us to go out and teach in the classroom all of these students. So my director and I recognized the best way to clone ourselves was to make videos. So in fact, we took the idea of videos as support and turned that on its head. We actually created curricula of teaching videos so that a class is now assigned videos as part of their homework, and then they come and see us after they've seen the video so that we have much better productivity out of the time that we spend with the student. They've already seen the basic click here, whatnot. They come to us then with their particular question they need to research, and we can be much more effective in helping them find material and move around different databases.
So what particular tools do you use to create your videos?
I use Camtasia.
Camtasia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And any free music I can get.
Uh-huh. Royalty free. And do you have to get special funding to create videos?
I've created a couple of videos on my own. It was very difficult. So now I go after grants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not funded by the university.
Mm-hmm. And is that easy for librarians to do, to get grants to fund
It's
work like
not
this?
easy to get grants. It's sort of a scattershot thing. But I think when they see how when grant funders see how these videos are used in a very structured fashion to take students from a very basic level all the way up through not just their undergraduate but into their postgraduate work, they can see a value in these things. That, you know, once I teach something 3 times, I really should be creating a video for it. That's my formula.
Mm-hmm. How many videos have you created?
Oh dear. There are 30 or 40.
And can you share with us some of the particular institutions who have given you grants?
All of my funding so far, well, that's not true. Most of my funding has come from my university. I have had outside funding from the Kellogg Foundation.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. George, so you were oh, I'm sorry, I meant Matt. Matt, going in order. Now, you were telling me that this is not the first way that you approached creating educational videos, right? You used to...
Yeah, I did originally...
Yeah, get that close to the mouth, your mouth.
I did originally set up Science.tv. It seemed natural that it would be a social enterprise. So I went down the not-for-profit route, and it was that whole funding thing that just... It was the lack of continuity, really, because money has been thrown at science education and is continually thrown at science education, but then you get a change of government and initiatives just come to an end just as they're getting going, and I just find it quite hard to work within that arbitrary box-ticking way that funding works to get something going like Science.tv, which requires time and iteration and experimentation. So I find the funding model very difficult, and I'm much more comfortable in a cutthroat commercial world now.
So you've gone for subscriptions.
Yeah, the model is subscriptions to parents and then a different subscription model to schools.
Mm-hmm. And how many subscribers do you have now? Or how long have you been around?
There's no paying subscribers yet. There's 3,000 members. So it's still at the startup stage because most of the tools I was talking about are still in development.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the revenue comes from the second side that I was talking about, which is going into schools, working with both teachers and students, so doing a lot of professional development with teachers. So that's a big part of it at the moment.
Yeah, you're really blurring the line between the student and the teacher, the broadcaster and the audience by having the students create their own videos.
That's, in the first version of what I was going to talk about, that was actually all I was talking about, was just this blurring of the line between teacher and student and broadcaster and audience, and there's so many parallels in there. I just find it fascinating. That's what keeps me going with this.
Very good. And how many videos do you have now?
There's about 30 that we've created, and then 400 or 500 that have been created by schools.
Excellent. Julius?
Just a minute. I have to, excuse me.
Yes.
I did say Kellogg Foundation. I have applied to them.
Oh.
I don't yet have a
you don't want to jinx it.
Hmm?
You don't want to jinx it.
No, I don't. But I have to be honest.
Okay, I appreciate it. Julius?
Yeah, I'm finding this conversation quite interesting because...
You'll have to move the mic close to your mouth.
I'm finding this conversation quite interesting because we're not actually solution providers. I would term us more solution enablers because our field is so new. I'm fascinated by the conversations that we just had because it was all to do with how to present the data. And people were talking about the video, the web page, whatever. And it brought home to me why I do what I do. As far as I'm concerned, I believed the hype when I saw, what was that movie with the one where he moves the panels and all the data comes in. I believed that hype, and I still believe it. I think our future world will be 3D, and that's where we're at now, where we won't have presentations like this, And we won't even need to come to this auditorium, but we will be there. We will present ourselves in some form or other. We will present our data in some form or another, and we'll be able to search for that data in some form or another. I can't claim to know where it's going. I can just see it now. I can see it as a clearer vision as when I started doing what I do to where I am now. And today made it even the more clearer because we had slides, we had videos, and how many of you would have loved to have been able to just go in there, decide which slides to see, you talk to Claudia in a separate little room, all within that same space, or call on her later on into that space and reevaluate what you had heard. Now, most of us would have come to this conference, we'll watch it, we might see the stream later on, but we lose that interaction, we lose that being there. Some of you would have been tweeting and not even heard what we said. Because again, it's a presentation in a 2D environment. You are not immersed, which is why I do what I do. Because as far as I'm concerned, in the future will be immersion, which is why TV companies or people who produce TVs want it to be 3D. They appreciate that we as a species, that's how we see stuff. That's how we want to see stuff. And any way that we can present data in that 3D is the direction that we're going to go in. And that's what I do at the moment. But unlike the rest, we don't make money because it's not yet mainstream. So if any of you want to come approach us, we'll enable you to take those first steps and possibly give us the ideas that we need to take it forward.
Well, I don't think the others are making buckets of money yet either, but maybe in the future.
I am. I'm making that.
Okay, you are? Well, Jemina will get a nice birthday present then. Julius, are there virtual worlds now that we can walk through, or is this something still in development?
Yeah, it's like I said when I first started. Unfortunately, virtual worlds got this seedy reputation with headline news in Britain about man meets woman, leaves man, etc. There is work being done in the background with companies like Reaction Grid, who are looking for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is being able to place a 3D environment on your standard 2D web page without using up the resources of your computer. At the moment, the recording I did was on Second Life, which is resource hungry. Not only is it resource hungry, but it's broadband hungry, which is why it obviously hasn't been taken up by mainstream. But we'll get there. I mean, Virgin, at the keynote yesterday, Ian was talking about how his was bigger than everybody else's. And he was talking about his broadband and his bandwidth. I could see a time when the box which you call your television will be the unit that you interact with the world with, and it will be 2D.
Well, I'm gonna jump onto George because we're running a little late, and I do want to hear about Kaltura. You have an open source version of your platform. I know that requires a lot from the users. They have to kind of know a little bit more, but that does seem kind of perfect for an educational institution where they might have the resources to implement it, to install it, get it running. Do educational institutions go with the open source version of Kaltura more, or more the commercial offering?
You actually see a mix. It's very similar to traditional open source models. I mean, people look to have the support of the product, have the upgrades made available, etc. And one of the things you find is, okay, the open source product is there, which enables people to do all this sort of stuff I talked about in the presentation. But in addition to that, you've got to look at the fact there are a lot of different extensions to the software, which ultimately are commercial basis, and so we tend to provide the support and services around those. Mm-hmm. But it really is an enabler. It's not only they can run it on their own hardware, we also have instances in the Amazon cloud, in Rackspace cloud as well, so people can just literally get themselves up and running tomorrow.
Very good. Well, I know we're running late, but does anyone have a question? Maybe one question before we go? Anyone? Okay, well, a hand for our panelists. I really enjoyed this. Good job, everyone.
I think I got some as well.
Interesting things to show and talk about. Great variety.
You see.
I'll give you you want to mind.
And that's mine as well, that is.
Is it? Yeah, you have it. Well, you can afford it. You're the only one in the company.
What's that?
You're the only one in the